2026 sees me travel the length and breadth of England to run a marathon per week in each of its 39 historic counties. Why? To raise funds for Tommy's, the charity that does incredible work to try to end the heartbreak of baby loss. I'll be joined each week by someone who has their own story of loss, their own rollercoaster journey, their own reason to be there. This podcast shares those stories in the hope that they can bring awareness to an often undiscussed topic and even, perhaps, a flicker of light in someone's darkness. You can follow the runs, the stories, and donate to the cause at marathonsformiracles.com. Enjoy. Hello, welcome to this week's episode on Marathons for Miracles. I'm sure by now on week 2, blockbusting hit and podcast all over Spotify and Apple and everything. This week, we're really pleased to be joined by Charlie and Alex.
Hi, Olly.
Hi, guys. Charlie and Alex are joining for week 2, which is our leg in Kent, and a really interesting angle this week. Slightly different to what we'll see in other weeks, but really pleased to have them on with us because Alex is a newly qualified, very, very newly qualified, like last couple of weeks.
Yes, just the last few weeks I've finished all up.
Yeah, newly qualified midwife. That was the punchline. Probably should have led with that. So a really interesting angle, and obviously on the front line of a lot of the topics that we're discussing elsewhere. Yeah, really excited to be talking to you guys this week. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh, brilliant.
So we'll start as ever with the all important question. What led you both to be involved with Marathons for Miracles?
I guess I probably am where this starts. I met yourself, Olly, at a fell race up in Shropshire, and we got talking about all this amazing work you're doing with Tommy's and with his challenge, and just it was just the perfect thing to get involved with. Obviously, with Alex training for her midwifery degree, I just thought it was an amazing thing to join and see what we can add to it. Obviously, being down in Kent, we offered an extra county for you, and it's been an amazing thing to be involved with.
Awesome.
And when Charlie told me about the challenge and being a part of it, it was something that I was really excited to do. To be able to put our perspective, but also to learn lots from you guys as well and everyone else's stories.
We've run a lot of marathons this year. I think I've done 6 this year, and I think running can often be a very personal sort of endeavour, but to be able to do something for a community of people and actually give back to people, I think is an amazing thing to be able to do.
Charlie and Alex have both been so energetic and enthusiastic about what we're doing all the way through. And Charlie, for his sins, is sort of living most of the time up in Shropshire now with work. So from a random encounter in a field has ended up being one of my key training partners. Really, I've probably run with you more than I have with anyone else. So it's been brilliant. We'll come back to running a bit more later on, but obviously Alex in particular from conversations around sort of loss and bringing babies into the world, you've got a perspective that a lot of us wouldn't have, which is really invaluable. And certainly Amy and I's experience of midwives in general over the past few years has been unbelievable. We've had some good times and some not so good times, but it's been very rare that we've had any negative words spoken about midwives. So you're very, very, very welcome within the group. And so just really interested to touch on what you've seen throughout your training around loss and miscarriage and explore that a little bit more. So I guess having you're fresh off the training program, how you obviously spend a lot of time, I'm sure, well, it goes without saying, you spend a lot of time learning how to bring babies into the world, but there's obviously another side to that. How prominent within your training is the topic of miscarriage and loss?
It's definitely an important topic that we have. It's continually brought up throughout the training and over the 3 years that we are at university and within placement. And we have like study days where we have people come in and it's like a really in-depth to be able to understand it a little bit more.
you have bereavement specialists, don't you? Specialist midwives that
Yeah.
that is their
At
main.
the hospital. But at university, yeah, we have study days. It's taught in all 3 years and just becomes more in depth the further you go into the training. Um, yeah, it's such a vital part of the training. So I think, yeah, you see one side of it, but then it's also very important to be able to support the families that are going through loss or even have previously had loss before and then they're having a baby next time and how we support them and what we can do to be able to make the experience as good as we can or what not to say. We hear a lot as well of what a difference that we can make to their experience. And it's such an individual thing for everybody that sometimes it can be quite person led as well.
Yeah.
As students in practice, we don't see too much of the bereavement side of things. It's mostly when we're qualified. But I've had a few people that I've helped to look after and been supported well with the midwives that I've worked with. I think mostly we're always told to, very individual, how each parent is very different, to make sure to say the baby's name, 'cause that's so important, and to just be led by the parents and what they would like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every loss is important. It doesn't matter the gestation. But I think, yeah, we had a study day at the hospital recently and had lots of information and how we can support the parents and counselling and if we need counselling ourselves. Yeah, they've been very supportive with it. But I know once I'm working as a midwife in the hospital, it's definitely something that I'll see and work with a lot more. But
Yeah.
I know the different support that's available for me and for how to help the families. We have core midwives who can help support me, support.
Yeah. That's really good to know. And I mean, when Amy and I went through our miscarriage, the midwife we had was phenomenal. Like it would have been a completely different experience without her. So calm, not in a cold way, not in an uncaring way, just exactly the right level, what we needed at that time to keep us in the situation. Like there was no bones about what was going on. We all knew what was going on there, but just that human touch.
It sounds like from what Alex has just said that midwife maybe to someone else would have been slightly different. She read yours and Amy's mood and realised what you needed. So
I think as well, it's okay to show people that we feel the emotion of it as well, that we're humans as well. And it's okay to show people that we feel it as well, since it's not too much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is one of the comments we've had, or one thing that comes up quite often when around this topic, is that the medical experience of loss can feel quite cold and quite detached sometimes. But I think that's more from you have to call a spade in these circumstances, can't you? And just in the medical profession in general, you can't tell someone that something's happening that isn't, or something isn't happening that is. Do you know what I mean? You have to
You have to make sure you say what you mean, otherwise people might not. They might think something can change or something rather than having to say what's happened.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the delivery of that and the people skills of that, and that's why I think
And you
midwives.
don't want everyone to try to make things seem like they're going to be, oh, it'd be better when this happens, or then you'll feel better, or you just want to say, oh, be empathetic and say, I'm here, I'm caring, and nothing I can say can make it better, but we're here to support you.
Yeah. So from what you're saying there, that like during your training, it's you're dealing with the topic on a regular basis, and it's very much at the forefront of your mind and of conversations that you're having. It's because you hear the statistics about sort of 1 in 4 pregnancies ending in loss, and you'd like to think that the training that midwives go through reflects that commonality.
one thing I've found from sort of watching Alex's course on the periphery is almost everyone we speak to, one of the first questions they ask is about baby loss. It's almost something that they maybe haven't experienced, and it's something that they're interested in almost how you deal with it. Because I think that what they're saying when they ask is almost, I don't know how I would deal with that. Not about the families. It's the midwives also get that sort of. I'm sorry, that happens.
And what's your response when if that's the question that comes from people quite often? Like how?
But it's always very thick. Yeah, it's always like a tricky. You always just do your best individually for people. it's part of the job, and we're here to support people and advocate for people and families. And that's, if the babies are alive, or
Yeah.
I think they've really responded to different depending on the person.
Yeah.
Really, I think it depends what they. Or sometimes, it's part of the job.
And I guess that's almost the job title, midwife, with women.
Yeah.
You're with the woman no matter what the outcome is. That is the goal, is to support the woman through the pregnancy. That's.
And how, this perhaps sounds like an obvious question to answer, but how difficult part of the role do you think that's going to be?
I think it can be tricky, but I think it can be rewarding to be able to support women and families and be able to help get them through those times. I think, until I've seen more of it, I think once I'm working in a trust, I'll be able to answer it a bit better.
Yeah.
I think, from what I've seen now, I know it can be hard to deal with, but I think nothing's as hard as what the families are going through, and we're just there to support them. So we're not the ones feeling it, we're just there to support.
Have you seen colleagues that you've sort of trained with, more senior colleagues, struggle with having to deal with those families, or is it generally a sense of, I've done a good job there, and despite the outcome?
I think it's a mix of everything. Afterwards, you see it a bit like, it's like a heavy, because you want what's best for family, and that's hard. That's hard to see. But also, when you've done a good job and you've done all you can do, and they feel good for that. But it's I think it's heavy.
Because you do build a big rapport with these families, don't you? So you must feel like a personal touch that you're rooting for them in these situations.
Yeah, there's the sort of old adage that working in obstetrics is the best one to be in, because you end up with more patients than you started with, which isn't always the case in a lot of areas. But I think that is perhaps a bit too much of a simplification. I think it glosses over
Absolutely.
If you were to count them all up, you'd actually lose a fair few in there as well, and it's not easy to deal with those situations. And you had touched on support that's available. I don't want to politicize these conversations too much. There's obviously been reports out this week, maternity care, and I want to skirt around that a little bit, because, as I say, our experience has all been fantastic. But one of the things that comes up quite regularly, and obviously something that Tommies are there for and fantastic at, and a lot of the other groups that we're familiar with, how much support do you think is available within the NHS for families who have been through loss? And do you think it could be better? How do you think that could be improved? Or certainly, what has your training so far told you about that?
All that I've done my training in, we don't have Tommies, but we have Abigail's Footsteps and Stands that we work with as well. So quite a lot of our bereavement care comes from those charities. So like the study days that are run, they make the boxes for the families to take home with like memory making kits and things like that. So the charities do have a heavy part to play in the bereavement care that we give to the families. Even with like the bereavement counselling for families afterwards, they can have a few, I don't know exactly how many sessions it is, 6 sessions they can have after, and then care. They go on to have another baby, care afterwards, which is run by the charities.
Okay.
So I think potentially without the charities, but we do have the bereavement midwives at the hospital as well, who are fantastic, and when we hear from the women that they feel so supported by those midwives and the care they give and following up on them and making sure.
Yeah, this is why it's so important what you're doing, Olly, because obviously you've got all these people who are suffering baby loss, and they're only sort of one of the main routes for them to get through it is charity.
Yeah.
So without people like you doing this work.
And it's really interesting hearing you talking about that, Alex, because my experience of what I found from the Tommies resources and other groups like the Worst Going Ever, who we talk about a lot, who we're running with later in the year, SANS, and there's various groups, and there's lots of charities doing fantastic things. I think the initial sensation for a family can feel like once their hospital care is finished, that's it. And I'm always very keen to stress that I don't feel that's the case. I think that the gap is filled by those charities and the groups that are there. It's just how that link is made and how those groups are found. And it sounds like in your hospital there's a really nice segue, and it's like, okay, we've finished with our medical care, if you like, but that's not the end. You're going to need some help, and this is where you can find it.
We're in I think it's a type of therapy that the midwives have been trained in for the women as well, but I'm not seeing too much of that side of it. But I know that's support that goes on for the women as well.
Yeah,
that's hospital led as well, rather than charity. But it does charity.
Yeah. That is, it's nice. I think it's just that trust to trust variation, isn't it? And sometimes hospital to hospital. Yeah. And I think my eagerness to raise for Tommy's was particularly around their research arm. I think the reason Tommy's appealed is that they're actually working more on the front end as well with the research to try and prevent the babies from being lost in the first place. Like ultimately, that's you don't need bereavement care for a family who haven't had a loss. So, but there are so many groups out there, and it's just how we can help people to find them. For me personally, what I can do is fairly small, but having conversations like this and recording podcasts and running around all over the country is the best way to do it. Just to
and raising awareness and
exactly.
Well, these are hard conversations to have, but this is sort of an easy entry into those conversations for people, because you start talking about running, you start talking about a marathon or a training run, and then that very quickly can get you onto a really hard topic.
Yeah,
we've had someone that I know whose partner's recently lost their fourth baby, and it's been hard, but this has made it easier for me to talk to him. It's that I feel like I must have spoken about this prior to that loss, and so he felt comfortable to come to me and talk about this.
That's it, and that we've seen so much. You don't necessarily need someone to directly engage in the conversation that you're having right now. It's just by putting that conversation out into the world.
Plant the seed.
Exactly. And even like we've been recruiting for the marathons for like 6-7 months. One of the ladies that's running with us was one of the last to come on board. She actually, when I spoke to her, she said, I've been following what you're doing for 6 months, and it's only now that I've felt that I was at a point where I could reach out and say, yes, I want to do this. And I think that's the important thing. And absolutely. That's the same for you, Alex, I guess, in your profession. You don't necessarily need to have the magic thing to say. It's just being there and being someone who the families feel that is a warm, open, trustworthy person, so that as and when they need to ask for help, they can. And I guess that's the same for families that are successfully giving birth. Like we talk about loss. Giving birth isn't a stress-free experience by any margin. So it must be, or I would hope there is. I'd be interested to your perspective on this, Alex. There must be a large element of your training which is just sort of people management focused and like emotional intelligence, just in general, without loss coming into the.
Yeah, I think being practically involved as well with the full time, do like the 2,300 hours on placement. I think you pick that up from your mentors as well and see how they handle situations and how. I think you pick up little things from everybody and think, oh, that worked really well, or that didn't, and then I think even learning things at university. But I think real learning starts in working out how to come across and build rapport and build relationships and things, even in difficult situations.
It's lovely to watch how Alex has gone through the course, and it's such an amazing job, and it really does put things into perspective for me. What an amazing job that is. Helping people day to day. The only stresses I think I've got at work are pale into insignificance.
Yeah, I guess that's one thing I hadn't really thought about. Is, do you feel, looking at other areas of medicine, Alex, that you do build up more of a relationship with your patients than perhaps elsewhere? Because I'm thinking about both our miscarriage and our birth. Like, we had someone sitting in a room with us for 12 hours. Like, she
Yes,
popped
yeah.
out for lunch and presumably to go to the loo and to check on a couple of other things, but she was there all day.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. When you've got the one-to-one care on delivery suite, I think it's you build a relationship with someone, there to care for them. Yeah, for other aspects of different roles in medicine, I think that's typically to know without doing it. But I know midwifery definitely when we're with those people, yeah, before you've got to best with them and care for them, and then think of them afterwards, and then
You'll never
yeah,
forget them, will you?
no, even like little things you remember them or and think,
Yeah.
hope they're doing okay, or there's so much time to bond with somebody.
Are there some that you'd like to forget?
I think everyone's got good parts of everybody, even if some bit more challenging.
The challenge, no one wants it to be easy all the time. You need a challenge, don't you? And
I can't imagine what it's like. I've got so much admiration for you, Alex, and everyone that you work with. I think it's phenomenal.
That's amazing. I'm looking forward to get a career in the future, all the different things I'll come across in my years of being qualified will be exciting.
Yeah.
It's only just the start now.
Absolutely. I saw your this was one of the cutest things I've ever seen. You have to deliver 40 babies, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you have like a little blue pink tick sheet or something.
Yeah, it's got like little baby's feet in it.
oh,
Yeah,
So
that's right.
I put it right here. So with the little
Look
feet
at
on it.
that.
Put like the little dates on it when I delivered each of them. So I've got my 14 now. So
That's fantastic. What a keepsake as well.
yes, it'd be lovely to have my sister got it for a present. So it's quite nice to have it.
Amazing. So yeah, obviously that's something you have to tick off, and like delivering babies is one thing. You mentioned you've not had as much involvement with losses and supporting people through miscarriage. I guess the final question around this, and you've, as a summary of your training, like do you feel ready to deal with those situations?
It's something you can never be 100% ready for. But I know the midwives in my hospital are so supportive, but the support goes on even post complication. So I think, just asking for support for myself. I know how to be, empathetic, how to, really, I think, just try to be caring, and then just ask for support around it.
Yeah.
I think I think Alex is doing herself a bit of a disservice. I think when you hear the stories, it's amazing. Sometimes you think it'd be easy, but knowing what to say is hard. Sometimes it's better to say nothing. I think it's very easy to say the wrong thing. I'm sure a lot of people who have experienced baby loss that you'll have on the podcast will tell stories about how people do often just say the wrong thing, and it is a talent and a home skill for midwives and addicts to be able to offer that support.
People remember the things that you say, if they're good or bad, so it's important to try to them.
For particularly if they're bad. those things stick out.
So I'm sure it'll be something that I'll work with in the future. But just hope to make a good impact rather than the bad ones.
But you see lots of the fantastic role models in that regard around you within hospitals.
Yeah, such fantastic support. So I know if I can be half as amazing as the midwife.
If there's any issues with maternity services in the UK, it's definitely nothing to do with the actual midwives themselves.
Well, that's it.
Structural problems.
Yeah, that's that was my main takeaway listening to the radio this week. The number that we've come across, because it's not just the actual delivery. You obviously have your appointments in the run up, and you often see a couple or three different ones throughout that process. I can't believe that there's ever been a midwife that's walked into a room with the intention of delivering bad care, or it's just got to be structural with the circumstances that they're working in and what's going on around them. But
well, Alex has just graduated and offered sort of such part-time hours, and they obviously they need lead midwives, but there's not the money there, so it's a problem. But you just do the best you can with what you've got, don't you?
Absolutely. I have no doubt that everyone is doing their best. Like I say, we're not a political podcast, so I don't want to. I'm sure there are many pub conversations to be had that could delve into that side of things. But I guess the other side of this that's quite interesting outside of your professional background, Alex, is more your Charlie and Alex, your outlook as a couple, and very excitingly, you're running the marathon with us on the 4th of January, and then you're flying to Zanzibar.
a month, in about 4 weeks after,
Two.
straight out, and to get married. Just the two of us flying out there, and it is, and then we're going to spend about sort of 4 or 5 months traveling afterwards as a very extended honeymoon.
Incredible. And that's why this is also quite an interesting alternative perspective, because I know from our runs, Charlie, and obviously from the conversation we've just had, Alex, you as a couple in your teens about to get married have vastly more insight into the pregnancy journey, shall we say, than a lot of others. I guess, Alex, from your perspective, how does your profession sort of affect your mindset heading into a potential pregnancy journey from a woman's perspective, and I guess both of you from as a couple, what's your mindset there?
I think it's a tricky one. I think sometimes if you don't know about baby loss, or like what the percentages are of stillborn and miscarriage, it can be a bit of a thing. Oh,
ignorance is bliss sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think part of you has to try to switch off the midwife head and all the information that you've got. I know I've heard that from quite a few people that I've worked with. You just have to try not to look into too many things yourself, because otherwise you'll be stressed and worried about things. I think it does give it a different approach.
I think that the interesting thing is a lot of, obviously this age we are, family members are going to start sort of trying for children soon, and they're thinking they've hit the jackpot, having Alex in the family to be able to sort of be that almost like midwife at home. And I feel like we'll have the same, but it does that. You can't just say, oh, we'll ask the midwife, because you'll feel like Alex should know. But then it's your body, isn't it? It's different when you're sort of looking at someone else. So I think it is a blessing and a curse, I think.
Just take everything step by step. I think if you look too forward at things or just try to live in the moment and just treat yourself like a patient and not need to ask. I think we're not trying to worry too much and just try to make it.
But do you think there is a layer of worry? Worry is perhaps not the right word, but just knowing there's a lot more knowledge of what could happen that might not exist within your peers.
I think so. I think I see so many aspects of midwifery. With baby loss or different things that you see happening in labour, or but then I see so many wonderful things as well.
For Alex has got sort of, like hardened evidence rather than sort of an AI response on Google. So I think in a way it can help you decipher the information more than sort of being fearmongered by the internet, as often happens. If I've got a headache now and I Google it, it's going to tell me one thing. If I speak to my sort of a friend who's a doctor, I won't be scared. So there is sometimes where that.
There's the issue on that though of knowing what you need to Google in the first place. Society doesn't prime you to expect to have a loss. Society primes you, if anything, when you're taught sex education and pregnancy at school, and it's portrayed as this very straightforward process, and the reality for so many people is that it's just not that straightforward. And then when it happened, it was just like a real slap in the face, because you're just, yes, it's horrible, but it's on top of that, it's the lack of expectation. Like you
almost didn't know it could happen.
You don't see it coming, and it's a fine balance as well, because I'm sitting here asking you guys that, do you have a different perspective on your approach to having a family than what you might do? But the last thing that I want to do, and the last thing I want to come out of any of this, is to be that real Debbie Downer who's like, don't get pregnant because this might happen. On the flip side, my little girl is the best thing in my life, and I wouldn't like. So yes, do it, because the potential is incredible. But
it's very much like, divorce happens, but people still get married, because you have to believe in love, and it's good outcomes. But you need to be aware of what can happen, so you put things into place, and so you go what to do to help the process as much as you possibly can. I think being more informed is never a bad thing. I think things like this, it's not a conversation that happens in public, which is why, someone I know, it's in construction. It's a very sort of macho sort of landscape, but we're now being able to talk about it through this experience, which hopefully will sort of get through society, and it's become more sort of We had there's a family that we sort of knew in the periphery, and they were pregnant and they went off to give birth, and you can see them for a few days and start wondering what happened. And then they came back maybe a week later and they'd lost the baby, and you don't know how to broach that. And this was a few years ago now, and I sort of feel like if it was after this experience, I would be able to now sort of go over and offer some sort of help that I wouldn't have been able to then. So I just wouldn't have known what to say or what to do. So,
I
talk to people.
So yeah, I think that's the point you raised there, Charlie, is the interesting one. It's just that it's a topic that's not spoken about still within society. And I guess the question there is, I have a lens now, obviously, where I have these conversations a lot. So it's difficult for me to make this assertion with quite the authority that I used to, but you're getting to an age where people around you are starting to have families. Like, do you think it's still something that's not spoken about, that's pushed under the surface?
So I think it is. I feel like, especially when I say to someone, "Oh, I'm trained as a midwife," you hear people always love to share their experiences of childbirth. And I think, now I've had a mix of both, with baby loss and not. And I think, it's something that I've definitely become more aware of since I started my training, and how to approach it, and listen to people's stories and ask about their babies, because every baby is important. I think I'm definitely more aware of it now from my training.
People feel very safe talking to Alex. I think when you hear midwife, people think, "Oh, good, I can now sort of tell you all these things." And so I think, even like you say with your experience, I don't think we can almost comment on what it's like for a member of the public, because we've got a different perspective.
Yeah,
we can see Alex as a safe pair of hands to talk to.
That was really, really interesting to hear that, Alex, because that's been my experience since I started sharing and talking about our story more. And as soon as I started talking about it, so many people started to talk to me. And for you to say that obviously, as you say, it's not necessarily loss specific. It's just their childbirth, pregnancy journey, story in general. But as soon as you tell them I'm a midwife, that's what they start talking to you about. And it just allows people to open, it just opens up that conversation, doesn't it?
And it's so important to be able to.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you two, outside of just having your head screwed on generally, are going into your next steps, your next very exciting steps with a fantastic sort of grounded perspective on all of this. Yeah, really interesting to hear your thoughts on everything. So thanks so much for sharing all of that. We need to talk about running for a bit.
Yes. It all started.
It's very easy to forget that we've still got to actually run all of these runs, not just talk about them.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Kent leg, and I feel this is where Charlie really kicks in, because this is
You've taken the lead.
One of my highlights of the challenge so far was when Charlie sent his route map through. So tell us all about it.
Well, I travel a lot for work, and so when I'm around, I like to find new routes. I hate to run the same things, and so I'd run a lot round the roads in Kent. And I thought, right, as soon as this is what I was excited about, so I get to plan a route. And so what I wanted to try and do is I wanted to try and take in as many of the sites in our corner of we're southeast London. It's the London Borough of Bexley, and there's Greenwich in there, but it was historically Kent before the London Assembly. So we're just trying to take in as many sites as we can. So we're starting at the track in Erith, the Bexley AC, our local running club here, and then we're going to take up along the Thames Path heading towards the Thames barrier. But just before you get to the O2, we're going to peel off and go past Charlton Athletics Stadium, and then we're going to go through to Shooters Hill. There's an old sort of, I think it's a 16th century castle up there, and then we're going to sort of head down sort of into sort of mainland Kent more. There's a good few parks we're going to go through.
Mainland Kent. I like the term mainland Kent.
Out into the sticks a little bit, and and sort of get through some nice country parks.
Nice.
Yeah, and then loop back up. I think we're doing the Danson House. We'll go around the local sort of manor house thing up here. So it's just a lovely
really cool route.
tour of the area.
Yeah. And when Charlie sent it through onto our WhatsApp group that we've got going, he's got it on a PDF with like annotated points on the route, like points of interest. I was like, yes, this is what I'm here for. And the one thing that I haven't checked yet on a cursory glance, I think we're okay. The idea initially was obviously that every route is entirely within each county, and yours is absolutely fine. The one that we're cheating on, which is a spoiler for further along, is London Marathon.
Yes,
we're doing the London Marathon as Middlesex, but obviously starts in Greenwich, which would have been Kent.
Yes,
So we're cheating until we cross Tower Bridge. I'm running with another Charlie on that one, and I suggested that we should run like an extra 6 miles on the end in Middlesex to make sure he
wasn't keen.
Didn't respond politely. Let's put it that way. But we come very, very close on your route to crossing the London Marathon route, and I was like,
yes,
that's got to be that's maybe a step too far. But I don't think we do. As you say, we peel off just before the O2 and don't make it quite as far as
that's it. Yeah,
Greenwich Park.
The closest 2 runs.
Duck out of the way. But and in terms of your guys' sort of running experience, the one point we haven't mentioned about the fell run where Charlie and I met is that he tried to outsprint me in the last couple hundred meters.
Pulled a calf.
Bottled it with a calf injury.
Calf injury. I realised it was all going horribly wrong. Hobbled over the line.
And I've since realised that Charlie is a far better runner than I am. So that is the first and last time that I will ever beat him in a race. I'm absolutely certain. Anyway, it was enough to get us chatting at the finish line, which...
Absolutely, yeah. Had we not finished at the same time, it would have...
Exactly. Not quite at the same time.
No, exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, but tell us a little bit about each of your sort of running experience heading into this.
We always make at the end of the year set a few things we want to achieve by the next year. Always like put it in our little Christmas tree as our Christmas wishes.
Nice.
And 2 years ago, one of my Christmas wishes, I put that I'd love to be able to run a 10K, and that was my goal for the year. So we started going to park runs, and then Charlie was just supporting me with it. As a great partner, so would come along to the park runs with me. And Charlie just took with it and ran with it, literally. And we just did that 10K, and then thought, like the sound of that, and then ended up signing up for a marathon. And then
Bryson Marathon 2023.
Yes, yeah.
No, 24, yeah.
And have just really the love of running, and now I've joined the local running club, Bexley AC, and they're such an amazing support. And I just couldn't imagine my life without running now. I think it started as just a little goal to have to accomplish a 10K, and now it seems to be such a big part of my life that we love doing together and separately, and it's just fantastic. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and it is. It's like Alex alluded to earlier. I've always sort of had a slightly struggled with mental health, and since we started running, it's just it just really grounds me, and so I spend a lot of time running. And obviously there's a nice side of it, sort of the athletic side. Like we did the 10K on Sunday, and I managed to win that. So you get a nice little trophy, which is lovely. That's all good fun. But it's more important just getting out and doing something healthy and good for yourself and good for your mind.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time in hotels, and so it's really good for me mentally to get out and especially the long distance running, the marathons, the trail runs. It just gets you to so many amazing places and so many amazing things. That's it. It's friends. It's the community. Because now I'm you, Olly, and it's doing this challenge and volunteering in the local community, sort of marshalling events. It's a whole world that you unlock. And it's such a simple thing, isn't it? Just putting one foot in front of the other, and it's quite a metaphor for life. Like if you explain to someone, how you get through something like baby loss, it is probably just put one foot in front of the other, just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Running, that's life, isn't it?
Absolutely. And again, that's the theme that goes throughout so many of the conversations I've had with planning this. I mean, it started off just with me thinking, well, it's a charity thing, so we'll have to run a marathon. Like that's just what people do.
Yeah.
But there's so much of the metaphorical about it as well, around, you know, the struggle that people go through when they're going through loss, but also how it's helped them in so many ways, whether that's, as you said, Charlie, just sort of like getting out and having some headspace. I know that for me, even pre any of this, like if I had a tough day at work, I'd go for a run, and it's just, that's just how I get my headspace and my sort of keep my sanity. And that's been, as I say, a big theme in so many of the conversations I've had with people about how they've managed their miscarriages and how they've got through them. And also then looking at a marathon more specifically, that's the sort of thing that doesn't just happen overnight. And it's the structure and the training that leads up to it. It's the structure that brought to their life when everything else felt so chaotic and so out of control. The one thing they could control is, okay, I'm doing a 5-mile run on Wednesday morning at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Like that's on the plan, and I can go and I can do it and I can complete it and I can tick it off. And just slowly but surely you bring a bit of sensation of control back to everything when everything else is so in the lap of the gods, or you know, whatever phrase.
Absolutely.
So yeah. See, and you both recently did Beachy Head.
Beachy Head, yeah, which was incredible.
I'm hoping this one's going to be a little bit flatter.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But it's so the wildlife out there was just amazing. The scenery,
Yeah.
And what was nice is
There's some wildlife. There's some wildlife in Charlton from last.
There is.
Might see a few pigeons.
Yeah, it was wonderful, and it was what we're looking forward to this marathon. Obviously, we'll run it together.
I've never done one together before.
No, I don't think we've very rarely. We run a lot of our training runs together, but actually an event, we rarely do. It's probably me not being the best partner for Alex, so it'll be quite nice to have this whole time together.
Yeah, that would be cool. And lots of support.
Yes, lots of support. Hopefully, that'd be brilliant. So it'll make a big do of it.
I heard a rumor that your coach is making it an official club session.
That's it. Yeah, it's going to be part of the spring marathon training. Is the Tommy's training run.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I think it's going to be an awesome day out, and as I said, we're so pleased to have you both on the team. And Alex, wish you every success going forward in your career. Sorry, say that again.
Thank you for letting us be a part of it.
Oh, not at all. But wish you every success in your career, and your insights are just really interesting. Like, I could we had dinner a couple of weeks ago, and I could sit and talk about being a midwife for hours. It's fascinating. And Charlie, thanks for your annotating. Like that will be that will be a highlight of the challenge to the end. And
absolutely, that's my part. That's it. I'm done.
Hopefully getting a couple more training runs before we get going.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll see you tomorrow probably.
Absolutely, yeah. Cool. Well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Excellent.
Thanks again, and looking forward to the day.
Brilliant. Cheers, Olly.
Thank you very much.